Happy Mailbag Monday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Lawrence Benedetto is here as well, running the faders, turning on the fast channel, telling us when to talk, all that fun stuff he does. Thanks for being with us. See a lot of you in the chat already being active. I see many of you covered in Mando, wearing your Shady Rays. Good job. We appreciate that. Hopefully you're cracking open a Coors Light too and choosing chill on this blazing hot July afternoon, but don't worry, in a few hours we're going to get poured on, so it's going to even out.
Oh, so Doritos coming with rain.
It's a day in July.
Doritos.
So just like yesterday is what you're
Doritos.
Yeah, just like yesterday.
Yep. Hey, do us a favor. You should know by now. It should be part of your habit, part of your life routine. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you log on to the show, and you hit that like button. Yeah. You subscribe to the YouTube page as well if you haven't already. By now, you should have. Podcast listeners, same deal. Don't just listen. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. We would really appreciate that. All right, we got Mailbag Monday. We've got a lot to get to, as always.
You're all wearing kind of the same shirt.
We are kind of wearing the same shirt. I got a compliment on this shirt today.
I almost did wear that shirt today, but then I was like, oh, it's Monday. It's softball day. A lot of people are probably going to be wearing that shirt.
See, yes. I don't think that far ahead.
That is what I am wearing.
So I went with
softball version.
I went with the OG.
Yeah,
CHGO.
These are not the same shirt because Mario has.
Yeah, he's got the
Charlie
CBG
the
logo
Bacon
on
guy.
Charlie the Bacon guy.
And now he's leaving.
Now he's showing his ass to the world.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Usually got to pay extra for that kind of stuff.
Free.
Way to go.
That was okay.
Free shot of the.
Stop showing your legs on the podcast.
Free. Yeah.
Wear
Bite
pants.
Bite me, anonymous
Pants,
troll.
Okay.
What were we saying?
Take these pants.
Dorachos?
No, that's
Maybe
not what it
if his
was.
mom
Mailbag
didn't
Monday.
DM me
Mailbag
so
Monday.
much.
Oh, I got a compliment on this shirt at Mariano's from the checkout guy. And then at the deli,
Nice.
I'm giving this in reverse order, obviously. This guy, Alan's like, hey, I like all your shows. I appreciate them. I listen to them all the time. I kick back on YouTube and watch all your shows. So what's up, Alan? Thanks for your support, and thanks for buying all the meat available at Mariano's. He was the guy in front of me at the deli line.
Took everything.
He got literally like 8 things. I'm like, buddy.
Oh, man.
I just want 1 bag of turkey, please. Can we?
Stocking up
hurry
for
it
the
up?
There's a
week.
storm coming, but it's not that bad of a storm, dude. Leave some for the rest of us.
I said to Alan, I go, are you sure it's enough? He's like, hey, sandwiches for the week. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Fair
Hey,
enough.
I mean,
Ellen, can I buy some ham from you?
I said, you own a deli?
Yeah, right.
That was good
yeah,
stuff.
those would have to be some deli quality.
I want
sandwiches
Alan to make
be
me
that
a
I know.
sandwich now.
I want a sandwich too.
Yeah. Well, Alan, if you're there, come on, bring him some sandwiches.
Please.
Throw him to shirtless guy, and he'll throw him over the balcony. We'll be good to go. All right, let's get started. Tear open the mailbag. Let's do it.
It is Mailbag Monday, and we will start in the Discord as we always do. Thank you to our diehards. This is from Matt Buss. And Matt Buss asks, how would you rank the top 5 Hawks prospects after the draft?
Dylon.
Hot fire. Well, let's just start. We are not in the world of. Some people are still in the world of calling Connor Bedard a prospect.
No.
He is not a prospect.
He
So
hasn't been a
longer a
prospect since
prospect.
October of 2023.
Yeah, what was game 2?
at the draft, he stopped being a prospect.
By the time he
he's
played
not
his
a
first
prospect
game on the United Center ice, he was no longer a prospect.
I think we're all pretty much agreed on 1 and 2. Levshunov number 1, Frank Nazar number 2. Are we lockstep on that one?
Yes.
I would put those two right there. And yeah, I would say like this happens with this happened with the draft with coming down to Levshunov or Demidov. Who did people want? The high-skilled playmaking, goal-scoring winger is a lot sexier than the steady, do-it-all top-pair defenseman.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people might say, well, look at what Nazar did. It's like something you said last week, like people are not excited enough for what Artyom Levshunov can be and should be. So I think as much as like we are all excited to see what Frank Nazar does because he is that kind of player, I think Levshunov has the ability to be a higher ceiling NHL player than Frank Nazar.
If you want to get excited about Levshunov, watch the latest Every Shift on the Blackhawks YouTube page. Because it's all the scouts at the table basically talking about what they love about him. And Mark Eaton said he reminds him a lot of Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah.
That's something to be very excited about. If Levshunov is Charlie McAvoy or potentially better, then it's a really good pick.
That's
so if
good.
you want to get, and I know those things are designed, they're distributed by the team.
They
and all those
obviously edited
things,
out
but
all the people that said bad things about him.
yes, I would imagine so. But so there's 1 and 2, Levshunov and Nazar. From
I would
there,
say
it gets
so.
a little more muddy.
Yes, and when I put together this rankings after seeing this question, my ranking was based on who I thought has the highest NHL ceiling.
Yes. Same.
And if you're taking Levshunov with the number 2 overall pick, he should have the highest NHL ceiling out of
Yes.
all your
Yeah.
prospects,
You'd say so.
no matter what any of them are doing. That's why I have Nazar number 2, because if people think Nazar is going to be your number 2 center and Levshunov is your number 1 defenseman, well, number 1 defenseman is better than second line
Yeah.
center. Both important,
Mhm.
but as far as needs, teams that have that number 1 center are usually in a better position.
Number 1 defenseman.
Right, that's what I meant. Yes,
Yeah.
number 1 defenseman.
No, that's what I would agree with, and I would say too about Frank Nazar being number 2. Again, I think he's got a high NHL ceiling. I think he's a guy that if he doesn't stay at center in the NHL, could eventually be a top wing option potentially.
Right.
Like I think he has a ton of talent, and his two-way game is underrated. Same goes for Oliver Moore, and I would say he's my number 3. But Nazar, if you said Oliver Moore was number 2, I wouldn't call you crazy. I think there's a ton of potential in Oliver Moore that hasn't even been tapped yet. I mean, he had a great freshman season at Minnesota, and everyone raves about his speed, but he does a lot more than he's just fast. Like he has a really good two-way game. His playmaking is developing well.
Killing the beauty league.
He 6 points in his first half speed summer league game.
They
That was
play
sick.
so much good defense in that beauty league. I mean,
But I mean,
it
is cool to see though.
beauty league's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what he does at Minnesota this year, and I would guess he probably will play a top line role, and he's definitely going to be on Team USA at the World Juniors. So it's going to be very exciting to watch him this year.
And I think Nazar and Moore kind of give you a lot of the same thing, a lot of speed, a lot of dynamic, offensive creativity off of that speed. So I think if you flip flop them, you're okay.
Sure.
I mean, listen, all 5 guys on my list are all guys I think have bright, long NHL careers ahead of them. So if you're 2 or 3, it's fine. Like, it's not.
Right.
Yeah. Now 4 and 5 might get interesting.
I think so too. And I was looking at, I think Ben Pope wrote this morning. I think it was this morning or this weekend. He's got Wyatt Kaiser at 4, which to me, if we're going by higher ceiling, I think Kaiser's probably more NHL ready, but I have Del Mastro over Kaiser in terms of who I think is going to be a better NHL player looking to the next 5-7 years. I've got Ethan Del Mastro as my 4.
I've got a defenseman at number 4, but it's neither of those guys.
Interesting.
It's Sam Rinzel.
Okay.
I think Sam Rinzel has a higher ceiling than both of those guys.
I also have Sam Rinzel as my number 4.
Seeing him in person and seeing how much bigger he got.
Yeah, he looks huge.
And what a really great season is, I think his ceiling is higher. I think Del Mastro has a long NHL career ahead of him as like your 4th or 5th defenseman, where Rinzel can be better than that, could be that offensive guy. And Kaiser, I think, too, could be a 4-5 type of guy in the right situation, but Rinzel's got the higher ceiling.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's going to be better than those guys, but
like you said, I've got Rinzel 4, and I've got Del Mastro 4, Rinzel 5.
Yeah.
Like,
again, you could flip flop either of them, and it's pretty good. I also have Sam Rinzel. I would have him at number 4, just because I think you look at the offensive upside that he brings. He's not like a big goal scorer, but like a big right shot, mobile, puck moving defenseman. Every NHL team would love to have a prospect that checks all those boxes.
The Blackhawks have 2 of them right now.
Yeah. I think if we're looking down the road, beyond the Seth Jones contract, I know it's way down that road, but beyond there, I mean, you might have a 1-2 on the right side of Levshunov and Reichel in 5-6 years, like as fully grown adults. Like, that's pretty good.
With Vlasic and Del Mastro as their
That's a lot of beef on the blue line there.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And number 5, this could be fun too. Jay, who's your 5th? Oh, you
Mine's
said
Reichel, yeah.
Reichel. Again, ceilings. I put Nick Lardis as my 5th defenseman, or 5th prospect, because I really was impressed with how he played this year. Battled some injuries, came back, played well. And then again, he's another guy that I saw at media day at development camp was noticeably bigger, not taller, but bigger.
Yeah.
Like he's filling out a bit. I think
firmer.
He's an exciting prospect again, who if he hits his full potential and ceiling, could be a very dynamic player for the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
One of those depth scoring guys and, just an effective player, and where they got him in the draft could turn out to be a very good value pick, but he's still 2-3 years away before we're even worried about him trying to compete for an NHL spot. He's going back to juniors this year. Next year, at least a full season in the AHL. So you're talking 2 years from now, maybe he scratches the NHL lineup.
It was really cool to see him play. I think it was in the last 2 or 3 games for the Ice Hogs at the end of the season last year. It was cool to see him get in there and make his pro debut, but still be able to go back to the OHL and keep developing and stuff. And I mean, you talk about finding some depth goal scoring. Like Nick Lardis can definitely score some pretty goals and in different ways too, which is great to see. I think he'll play for Team Canada at the World Juniors, so that'll be a lot of fun. My number 5, I have Ethan Del Mastro. I think what we saw from him as he was coming up as a prospect was really exciting. I mean, he's obviously got the size to handle the physicality in the NHL. We talked about it 2 prospect camps ago. The last one that was on the ice. Just watching him, it was just like he looks the part of an NHL player already, and that was when he was 19. He was an all-star in the AHL as a rookie. Like there's a lot of upside to him. And look, if all these defensemen like reach their ceilings, let's say, or most of them reach their ceilings, you talking about Korchinski, Vlasic, Levshunov, Reichel, Del Mastro, Kaiser, all those guys. I feel like Del Mastro is in there, and if he's like on your third line, like that's really good. And I think he's a guy that like it might be like, oh, he's a third pairing defenseman, but if all these guys pan out, like you're talking about like a logjam of really good talent.
He's your third pairing defenseman, but also probably your top penalty killing defenseman.
Yeah, he'd be playing
a very
PK,
important
shutdown style kind of stuff, be a physical presence. Like, yeah, that's pretty good.
You've got a lot of great defensemen. You got guys playing in lesser roles. Like, how many NHL teams would Nicholas Chalmers have been a second pair guy on in his career?
Probably 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah, he'd be the top.
We are embarrassed with riches, my friends.
Who would be number 6 on your list?
Probably Del Mastro for me. Just, because outside of that, or Nolan Allen. Those guys to me are kind of like, they're very close.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys are probably next on my list. Maybe Drew Comezzo, like 7th-ish behind those guys.
I'm going to go out and say, I don't know. I feel like because he brings something to the group that the Blackhawks needed, Sasha Boisvert.
Damn it.
Like, down the middle, aggressive, physical, has an ability to score goals, play around the net, might drop the gloves here or there. Like, I don't know. I'm very excited to see what he turns into.
I think now that we're gonna have a full season of following him, he's going to shoot up that list real quick.
Probably.
And Lebowski say we're sleeping on Kanserov. I'm a big fan of Roman Kanserov in Russia.
Yeah.
I don't have KHL TV,
but
unfortunately.
It's just with him,
KHL.TV.
I'm not as caught up on Russian prospects.
He's got
as many
2 more years in Russia, and you don't know what's everything that goes along with that. So yeah, he's in my top 10, no doubt.
Yeah, fair. Like he played on the KHL champion team this year, Metallurg. Something I can't remember off the top of my head, but 13 points in 23 playoff games.
That's good.
Like, as
especially at that level
as a teen, early 20s, like That's impressive. Like, yeah, sure, he's not in the top 5, but he's up there for sure.
Do we ever get clarity on why he was allowed to be at prospect development camp this year?
Because I don't think
I mean,
doesn't conflict.
I guess
with
not.
anything.
I don't think there's like strict
Surprised they let
travel
him-
restrictions.
I guess not. I don't know.
I mean, it's not during a KHL season or
Yeah.
anything. It's not. There's
Well, like
no.
Demidov was here for the draft, so it's not like they don't let people come over. But
Yeah,
I was surprised to
He
see
wasn't
his
at
name on there.
he wasn't at camp last year, right? Or was he there?
I don't
Because he was at the
think so.
draft, but he
He
didn't
was
end
at
up
the draft,
talking.
but I don't think he came here. No.
I don't think we ever got a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But again, it's like with him being in Russia, there's fewer eyeballs on him, fewer hype. So, maybe he is underrated. Hopefully he is.
Absolutely. And it's not underrated? Circa Sportsbook.
I agree.
They are far and away the best. You know why? Because they have tight money line splits and a low hold model. Circa will strive to keep games at a -110 split on their menu, unlike other sports books, which may have the same line at a -115 or a -120 split. And Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to those other books. I know some large market bets in the world of football going on this weekend, and the Euros and the Copa. Won some units of measurement on some of those games
nice.
this weekend. So that was fun.
Congratulations.
did you break in through the vents like the fans?
Like Artyom
No, I didn't.
Levshunov did.
Yeah, Levshunov was there. I cannot confirm nor deny if he had a ticket.
They were all jumping on his shoulders to get over the wall.
But also what makes Circa great is their high app limits and the transparency in the customer service. No better customer service than with the Circa Sportsbook because there are real people behind the brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other sports books who use chatbots. All aspects of the app are run by the same people that run the main Circa Sportsbook at the Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Shout out to them. So what you want to do is download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app and sign up today. Also, be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates like our Cubs Friday 120 Club. Circa is with us for each one of those. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Or text GAMB, G-A-M-B, to 833-234, or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
And do I need to tell people why we need to choose chill today? Do you really need a diagram explaining why? When it
Here's
is
why.
the surface of the sun
Because-
combined with a bowl of soup,
Right.
you don't need a reason to choose chill. It is hot as balls outside.
It's very
Open
hot.
your beer fridge, take out the Coors Light with the bluest mountains on it, and drink it while it's still cold.
Mhm.
Because, damn, it's going to be refreshing as hell today, as it always is, but especially
Especially today.
when it's 96 degrees with 300% humidity. It is a perfect time to choose chill, like we always do with our friends at Coors Light. When those mountains turn blue, hopefully beyond blue today, it means your Coors Light is as cold as the
navy.
Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as your Colorado Rockies make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Also a good time to choose chill when the tornado sirens are going off.
Yes. Those Chicago sirens are, man, those are off-putting.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I saw a video last night from WGN's Larry Hawley out on his patio with the sirens going off. I was like,
No.
don't like that sound.
In the basement we go.
Yeah, we skipped the basement last night, which was shocking. But we
Go
didn't
on
know
the
there
roof
was,
instead.
we didn't know there was a tornado happening in very close Cicero until it had already kind of passed. Like
Mm.
they didn't exactly do a good job of warning us.
Mm.
I was looking outside. I'm like, boy, it looks really windy. And then like a minute later, the TV went,
Yeah.
that whole thing.
I was watching
like,
the Copa final.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
They kept breaking in, and
Yeah.
They were doing
during
side by
extra
side.
time, she's like, "We need to go full screen." I'm like, "No, you don't. We can see it fine."
Can we talk about whoever Fox's weather person is, Fox 32's weather person? She was in the most over-the-top way telling people to go downstairs. You know, like, oh, these high-rise buildings, you're going to want to get to the lowest level, like with hand motions and everything. I'm like, you mean go downstairs? Just say go downstairs.
Well, some people don't have the volume on, so you got to, say,
God.
Walk down the stairs, go downstairs.
I was just like, okay, lady, like, settle down with your.
Well,
like,
I mean,
serious.
you want to make sure that you're getting your point across in those situations.
Yeah.
But
Well, I switched
will
to
say,
Univision, so I didn't lose the game.
Yeah.
And they have like a postage stamp on the screen of the weather update.
I will say, though, they cut into extra time to say there was a tornado warning in Chicago, and before they went back to the game, it was the warning has been lifted.
Yes.
So it was like 10 minutes of like, hey, is there going to be a tornado in the city? No, it's okay. But
All right,
tonight,
hopefully everybody's okay and
everyone
stays okay
be
today.
safe because it might happen again.
All right, let's go back
July.
into the mailbag. Our next question comes from Rudy.
Rooney.
Again, this is from the Discord. With free agency behind us, who are you comfortable saying will for sure finish bottom 5 of the league? After San Jose, I struggle. Columbus, Calgary, Anaheim, maybe. Early predictions for the 5 worst teams next year.
Well, there's always going to be a team that, like, wow, they sucked unexpectedly.
I'm never comfortable predicting
I know.
anything because I'm usually wrong. But I will say I am comfortable that San Jose will remain in the bottom 5.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you look at it, even though they're going to be improved, the Blackhawks might too.
They might find themselves down there.
Last year's bottom 5, Sharks 47, Blackhawks 52,
points.
Anaheim 59, Columbus 66, Montreal 76. 6th place was Arizona, now Utah 77. So if the standings are going to be that same way, the Blackhawks need to improve by 25 points to get out of the bottom 5. Possible, but I might be asking too much.
Sure.
And who's going to? I think
St. Louis.
I think Montreal may improve. Columbus may improve.
Maybe.
So who's going to fall back?
I feel like Arizona, Utah is going to be much better than 6th worst in the league.
Maybe.
They'll be much better than that.
Maybe. I mean, everybody's hyped on them. Because
But does Sergachev have like a guy that's going to like significantly
he's not a number
move the
one.
needle?
If he was a number one,
franchise.
Tampa wouldn't have traded him.
They improved their team.
They're better,
is
for
what I'm
sure.
saying.
Right.
They're better.
Yeah.
So I think that they're better enough to not be 6th.
Yeah,
But
they
this
might
is
be
6th worst in
This
the
is
league.
my argument. When
I think they'll be flirting with the playoffs.
when
spot.
we posted the video yesterday of my St. Louis prediction, which I knew was going to fill my timeline with all sorts of nice comments about me.
Lots of Cardinals fans.
It was just like, well, they finished way behind last year. How do you see it? Like, but you got to remember, the Hawks basically this year are gaining Hall, Athanasiou, who were not part of things last year.
Basically.
They've got a backup goalie that's not an automatic loss. Might actually be a win because he's playing so well. Mikheyev is added. Bedard's a year older, playing with actual NHL line mates.
Mm-hmm.
You get another year of Lucas Reichel, whatever that might be. Bertuzzi, Teravainen, Martinez. Like, this team is significantly better.
Right.
And even if the team had been remotely healthy last year, like Taylor Hall plays 50 games, Athanasiou plays 50 games,
Yeah.
and Soderblom is in complete a loss every time he takes the ice, they're probably 10 points better on that alone.
Yeah.
Or if Bedard doesn't miss a month,
So yeah.
they're probably 15 points better.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not saying.
But 15 points better gets you 67, which is probably still
Puts
bottom
you at
5.
4th.
But I'm talking about last year's team, though. And now you add all the things they added this offseason to make the team better, make the team deeper, make the team more injury-proof. You could see, I don't think a 20-point jump. It sounds crazy on paper, but when you look at everything they went through last year and the guys that played meaningful minutes on this team last year, I mean, you had Ryan Donato and Nick Foligno on your top line most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not going to happen anymore.
20-point jump gets them 72 points, but it's still bottom 5. It's going to be tough for them
Sure.
to get out of the bottom 5. And there's always going to be a team that nobody expects to be bad.
Yeah.
Like last year, everybody thought Philadelphia was tanking for Celebrini, and then they almost made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're closer to being a bottom 5 team this year again than they are being even with Mitchkov. There are some other teams, Ottawa and Buffalo.
I think Calgary's going to fall out. Buffalo is one on top of my mind.
Ottawa too.
Calgary's trying to get worse.
Don't count out Seattle taking another further step
Yeah.
back. I don't really like what they did this offseason. They signed a couple of dudes, but I think they overpaid.
Yeah.
Montour. What was the
Yeah.
other one? Was it
They gave
Stevenson?
Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah, they gave him way too much money.
7 years.
No,
Yeah.
those are nice players, but not And then we talk about the Blues, but what did Minnesota Wild do this offseason?
Not much.
They could be a team that they took a big step back
They
last
got
year.
Yakov Trenin.
They took a big, as I continue to say, they take a big step backwards last year, going from being a playoff team to out of the playoffs. Do they continue to go backwards with their aging goaltending and their lack of depth scoring outside of Kaprizov and whoever's on his line? Who's scoring for that team?
Right.
So they're candidates. I still think the Blackhawks will be improved and still be a bottom 5 team. Bottom 6, at best.
I'll say the bottom 5 is probably San Jose, Anaheim. They're still in there. I don't know. Montreal feels like they're like one injury away from just being down.
Well, Kirby Dach will be gone by October 19th. There it is.
Calgary is trying to get worse than succeeding. I don't know if Seattle's all that much better. I think Utah's taking a jump up. Ottawa, who knows with them? I mean, new ownership, that might make a difference, but with how they're trying to move things forward, but I don't know. I think the Blackhawks are probably most likely the 5th worst team in the league,
but trending in the right direction.
Yes, absolutely.
But you can still be 25 points improved and still be one of the worst teams in the league, which just shows you how bad it got last year.
Yep. What did Montreal do in free agency? Anything?
Not a whole lot.
Nothing that jumps out of my brain.
I'm looking at July 1st. I don't think they made a move. Slavkovsky got an extension.
Yep.
No, they didn't go for much.
Alex Barre-Boulet.
Sure.
That's for signing. Okay.
Les Stanley Cup, here they come.
Yeah, I guess so.
The Coupe Stanley. Nate Krumpus jumping in here with a $10 super chat. Thanks, Nate. Last year, the organization made it a point to give Rockford some solid vets so they could try to make a deep playoff runs and, quote, learn to win.
Mm-hmm.
How do they balance that with getting all the young guys playing time?
They've kind of moved away from that a little bit this year. Now it's there's some guys there.
It's a lot of the same guys from last year.
Brett Seney is there. Zach Sanford re-signed and is there. You
You still have Cole Gutman.
Gutman, who's been around the block now a little bit in the AHL.
I mean, there's still plenty of veterans down there, and they probably will add some more. Jackson Cates, they just re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
He's another AHL vet guy. It's a fine line between the two. Anders Sorensen talks about it a lot, the Ice Hogs head coach. You just try and find ways to get the young guys, in the right situations. And Nate's following about they're going to play the vets over these rookies. Not if the rookies deserve to play.
Right.
Like they can, if there are young guys that deserve to be on the top line, they will be there. But just like at this level, they have to earn it. The difference down there is if you have a bad game or even a bad weekend, you're not scratched the next week.
Right.
You're going to go out there and play. So you will see like the veteran guys probably get some power play time and the penalty kill time. But you looked at last year in the playoffs, Colton Dach was on your top line in the playoffs. So they're not, the AHL is such a weird roller coaster of a season. Your roster changes on a day-by-day basis. The standings change on a day-by-day basis because there could be a team that's world beaters in October and then half their roster has to go up to the NHL team and they're in last place by December and then they're back in a playoff spot by April.
Yeah.
It's such a weird season that because the roster changes so often, guys aren't going to stay in the same spot week to week, period to period.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interchanging. They're going to be moving a lot. So I wouldn't be too worried about too many veterans on an AHL team because the best players will play and the best players will get some NHL time as the NHL season dictates.
Well, and two, you have a guy like Joey Anderson who could flip between the AHL and NHL. He's been around for a bit. I mean, there is a possibility Lucas Reichel is playing in the AHL this year.
That would be a huge.
That would not be great
disappointment
for the NHL, standards. But that's a guy that's spent 2.5, almost 3 full seasons worth of time in the AHL. That's a guy that's been around. So I think there's going to be players who can be the example of this is professional hockey, but it is still going to be mostly young guy driven, which I think is I'd rather that than what they used to do with Rockford, where it was just here's a bunch of guys who don't have a future in the NHL, but we don't have anywhere else to put them, so they're your ice hogs.
Here's Andrew Campbell and TJ Brennan.
Here's PC Labrie.
Along with Mark McNeil and William Peltier. Here you go. Have fun.
There's a name.
I loved William Peltier, though. One of the best quotes in the history of hockey.
He was great.
It's my guy. As Kyle Davidson is driven for the search for the best core in all of hockey, we're also driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't a search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed.
Indeed, you do.
Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find high-quality candidates fast. So ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with your best candidates even faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed.
With that $75 you save, you can buy yourself a spot in our Cookout Classic at St. Andrews in West Chicago. That is Monday, July 22nd. The inaugural Cookout Classic. It's going to be a great time. Our friends from Big Drive Energy are going to be out there, hopefully, in my foursome again. That was wonderful because I'm terrible. You get the 9 a.m. shotgun start, scramble style. There's lunch served. Free spiked Arnold Palmer, John Daly, for everybody who shows up. It's going to be a great time.
Free Miller Lite if you're up for that, too.
Yeah.
Technically, do you have to put like a cigarette butt in it to make it a John Daly?
I think so. That's like instead of a lime wedge, you put a cigarette in it.
Ash one in there.
Put a Benson and Hedges filter in there.
There you go. Well, that's not the only reason you become a diehard at CHGO. You get access to all of our great written content. You get priority on Mailbag Monday. We've got 2 questions done so far. It's going great.
Mailbag Friday.
That Discord,
we're trying to stretch it out, man.
Discord gets priority, so you get access to that. Free shirt when you sign up, so you can match the 3 of us. So many great things. Go to allchgo.com, become a member, and start saving at CHGO Locker, saving on all of our events, getting access to all of our great written content. It really pays for itself after an event and a free T-shirt. You basically have covered the cost. So help us out. Become a diehard today. You'll get this cool membership package right there. It's on the table in front of us. It's a great deal. Keeps us going. And you have our undying love, and that is priceless. That's what that is.
Cannot put a price on that.
I'd like to also congratulate everyone. It is now 3:03 p.m. on Monday, July 15th. We no longer live in a world without EA Sports college football anymore. It is back as of 3 minutes ago. Rejoice.
I did feel that wave of...
It just feels different.
Emptiness leave my body.
Right? Didn't it feel different? It's like something changed.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't wait to go lay a whooping on USC when I get home. It's going to be fun.
Our own Patrick Norton has fired up the game. I see it on Twitter in real time.
I would be if I wasn't at work. Stupid.
Yeah.
All right, let's get through this mailbag so I can go home.
Lawrence, put down the controller. We got
sorry,
show to
yeah.
do. Jeez.
Okay, we've been talking about Rockford. Well, Windy City Hockey in the Discord says, what Blackhawks prospect that played all season in Rockford last season has the most likely shot at making their NHL debut this season?
the whole season. So that means like we're crossing Ethan Del Mastro off.
Well, 'cause he made his NHL debut.
Yeah, he made his debut.
He'd be the one I would say played, quote unquote, all year in Rockford.
Right. I mean,
He'd be the one I would.
leaves you basically with Colton Dock,
Doc,
Nolan
Allen,
Jalen Lipin,
yeah,
Ryder Rolston.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah, Doc
Del
or
Mastro,
Allen.
Allen.
Yeah, those
Doc, like,
seem
they
like
all
the
have
most
chances.
obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
they all have
the only reason I'm
chances.
disqualifying Del Mastro is because he already made his NHL debut.
All right, if you go by the literal,
Hey, the question says
the
NHL
literal
debut.
verbiage,
But I
yeah.
think who has the chance to play the most games in the NHL this season is probably Ethan Del Mastro.
Mhm.
As far as the next guy that was in Rockford last year to make his NHL debut,
I think it'll be Colton Doc.
I'm gonna say it's Nolan Allen. Actually,
Yeah.
Doc is a good choice too, but again with him, he's got to be healthy in order to play.
Well,
and
now you
he's-
look at the bottom six, and you've got Maroon, you've got Smith, you've got now Kurashev on the bottom six. Athanasiou's back. Maybe Reichel's on. Like now, you're saying like, where's the spot for Colton Doc?
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to come up and play all year.
But that was a
But
guy who, like, July 3rd or June 30th was thinking, oh, there should be a spot for him now, and all of a sudden,
There
it's like,
could have been,
whoa.
Yeah, but I think
He could
he's
do top six though.
I think he's going to be a guy that's. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to play top six all year in Rockford. Has the opportunity to, and then probably towards the end of the year, gets kind of what Del Mastro got, where it's just like, all right, come on up, play a couple games, or maybe it's a spot where, let's say, best case scenario, he's healthy for a long stretch of the season, is playing really well. There's injuries are inevitable.
Right.
Maybe an injury happens.
Yeah, guys like
in the
Craig
NHL,
Smith and Pat Maroon with the way they play in their age.
Something like that happens.
They're
and,
due
and
for an ouchie.
instead of Brett Seeney or Cole Gutman coming up,
Right.
they say, hey, let's give Colton a shot to play a more significant role in the
all
NHL
for
rather
that.
than here just spot fill for 7 minutes.
The only reason I lean towards Nolan Allen is just because remember how high Luke Richardson was on Allen in training camp last year. We sat here and debated, like, did Nolan Allen make this team?
It felt like it.
Because he had some comments towards the end of camp.
It
We
sure
were like,
did.
wait a second. Did he make this team? And if he has another solid training camp, maybe he's the guy that goes for that first road trip as the seventh guy and makes his NHL debut, and then they put him back in Rockford. Who knows?
I'm all for it.
But he's a guy that I think gets overlooked a lot just because he's not flashy.
Right.
He's not a Kevin Korchinski. He's not a Levshunov. He's not your offensive guy. He's your he's your Nicholas Jarmelson-esque.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing the two stylistically, but he's the guy that's going to do all the dirty things, the hard work, the stuff that doesn't show up on highlight packages or score sheets. But he's going to be the guy that gets the bruises every night and earns his team respect.
You heard it here. Greg Boysen says Nolan Allen, Nicholas Chalmerson.
Same guy.
Same guy.
equals.
Same guy. Same amount of IKEA furniture in their apartments.
Bull.
All right, let's go back to the mailbag for the Blue
it's a long one.
Kazoo.
Kazoo.
Asks, what? Actually, it's a two-parter. We'll just do the first part here, and then
Fine.
we'll come back for the second one. What would be a good comp team for the direction the Hawks are heading, considering prospect pool, depth, length, and rebuild? I've heard you guys mention Colorado and Dallas. Just wondered if there are any other good examples of what the Hawks are shaping up to be.
I think it's still a little too early to really compare them to a trajectory of a team that's like gone. And Dallas never really went through a rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado is
Colorado
went
hit
from they
rock
were like
bottom.
historically
Right.
awful. Got the top picks, and then
Dallas
most
never
of them panned
turned
out.
it or tore it down.
Right.
They found a way to draft well and keep that window open. They went and got Tyler Seguin to open up their Stanley Cup window, and here we are. What, 7-8 years later, and he's still there. Highly
With
overpaid,
100 years left on
but,
his deal.
but they were able to get Jason Robinson and Rupe Hintz,
Yeah.
and now Stankoven and Wyatt Johnson and Heskinen. All these guys, while they were good, that's very difficult to do. But that's why Jim Nill basically is your all-time winner of the they're going to name that award after
Jim Nill
him, the
Award.
Jim Nill Award, because he
I
always
just need a
wins
cup.
it. But rightfully so, if he gets a Stanley Cup. But he kind of rebuild on the floor while still contending. Very hard to do. Boston is another team that's
they don't
been
really
able to
tear
do
it
that.
down.
They never tore it down. Where Colorado hit the bottom, and then building it up. So I don't, it's tough to really compare them to a team because the Hawks, we just don't know what their young players are yet. So many of them are still in the infancy stages of their development where it's really hard to say, oh, they're on the same trajectory as this team was, or even the Dynasty Hawks. It's hard to say.
Well, I think if we're best case scenario and everything works out, they're Colorado with the added dimension of free agent destination. Chicago's a place where free agents want it. Not that Colorado isn't, but original six team is a place where people want to play, even when the team is not great. Look at the fact that Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen signed in Chicago. They were not, it wasn't Stamkos and it wasn't Gensel, right? Like probably the top 2 free agent forwards available.
Yeah.
But they're probably top 5 of the free agent forwards available. And you got 2 of them to come and play for a team that we predict to finish bottom 5, bottom 7 again. There's an appeal to come here. Teuvo Teravainen, a guy who played here before and knows what it's like, came back, left a team that contends every year, and they had to get rid of him for financial reasons, of course. But guys want to play here. So if the drafting works out, and then maybe it's next summer with Mikko Rantanen or Mitch Marner or somebody like that, and you say, look where we're going. Year 2 at Connor Bedard, he had 95 points or 100 points. You want to play with him for the next 8 years, 7 years?
Right.
I think a lot of people would be very excited to sign up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Chance to play original 6 team in a great city and a team that's got the trajectory in the right direction. Absolutely.
And the other
Revan Excel says this will be Tyler Seguin's 11th season in Dallas.
Crazy.
That's insane.
That's wild
to think that it's been so long, man. Crazy.
But the other thing too that people need to keep in mind is when free agents are considering markets, they're not just looking at how's the team doing today. They're looking at what's the opportunity for me and my family. What is the travel like? What are the accommodations like in terms of trainers, scouts, nutritionists, hockey development stuff? If they have kids, what is the situation for youth hockey? There's all the schools, all these factors go into these free agent decisions.
Hey, Foligno's kids almost played on the 4th line yesterday.
Well, that's it. And when you look at Chicago, it's like they check all the boxes.
Yeah.
Tell me, even in this rebuild, Ilya Mikheyev had a no-trade clause, waived it to come to Chicago. Seth Jones waived it to come to Chicago. Marc-Andre Fleury came to Chicago. It's very rare where guys I'm good, I don't want to play in Chicago. That's not a thing. Guys want to be here. They want to play here.
Sam Lafferty's the only one that jumps in the mind.
Right. Well, he had to go play for Buffalo.
Right.
Well, he's probably going to be their first line center.
As you said earlier, maybe Sam Lafferty, saw what they were going to do and were like, well, there's really not there's not that much spots for me anymore.
That's also part of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, like you said, I feel like Colorado feels like hopefully the blueprint because Dallas, even some of those years they didn't make the playoffs. I was just going back to look at it. They had 90-point seasons and didn't make the playoffs. Even so, they never were rebuilding. It was just they
never had a top 2 pick, a top 5 pick. They were always either in the playoffs or right out
just
of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, Colorado I would say would be
that'd be good.
Obviously that would
Colorado
be the trajectory you would want to go.
Pedigree where you just
Tampa took some time to
constantly bringing up your own guys to replace. You identify your core, you give them the good chunk of your salary cap, and then you just find guys from your own system to come up and fill those roles cheaply.
All right, now the important part of the Blue Kazoo's question: smash burgers or pub/steakhouse style burgers?
Smash burgers. I love a
they
good
have more
smash
flavor.
burger. Yeah.
I feel like pub-style burgers are just look how big and thick this is.
Yeah, and
there's
they
not a lot of taste.
And they tend to, depending on where you go and how you get it cooked, they tend to get super dry too.
Yeah.
Where the smash burgers remain juicy and
they get
flavorful.
the crispy on the edges.
You get the melty cheese, a little greasy. Yeah, smash burgers all the way.
Yeah,
I'll take a pub burger.
I'm not saying no to a pub burger.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just saying I enjoy a
I
good smash
feel like smash burgers are having their moment right now. I feel like there's a lot of places in the city that are going that route.
Well, Well, I mean,
There's-
would you consider all cheval, small cheval? Is that a smash burger? Is that in between the two?
Actually, well, they
Do
do
they
have the
smash
smaller
it?
patties, right?
I would say that's probably closer to a smash burger than
Right.
a big, thick pub
Right,
burger.
yes. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
two favorite places are small cheval for a burger and Kuma's
Seen a
Corner,
Kuma's.
and those are two different types.
Right.
Both very good. Where small cheval does simple great,
Yeah.
and Kuma's
The
does
taste is really
let's
good.
get everything in the world. on a
Kuma's
burger.
is extravagant.
And there's
yeah.
a place in my world for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me
absolutely.
Kuma's.
And my clogged arteries.
And my stomach.
Yes.
All right,
Did
gentlemen.
Jim Cook just thumbs? Is he here?
Don't.
I don't know.
No, he ran away after. Who cares?
He just thumbs down burgers.
Go make a sales
Go
call.
sell something, you ass.
Yeah.
What an
Get a
idiot.
All right.
get a burger sponsor.
Get us a third ad break zone here, buddy.
All right.
Shitty takes.
Okay, this is back into the Discord from Edward Klassen.
Edward.
Just got it in. It was at 2:17 today. He got this in. Have
Cut
you
off.
polished up your crystal balls today,
Yep, with
gentlemen?
Mando.
With Mando. Damn it, you beat me to it.
If you could look into the future over the next 5 years,
Hmm.
what potential landmine would you identify as needing to be avoided in the Blackhawks' return to greatness?
No
Anything?
Brent Seabrook contracts.
Yes. Anything with the word lawsuit in it. Just
Yeah.
That too.
stay out of the off-ice headlines as much as possible.
And I would say on the ice, like you said, the contracts
Yes.
avoid some kind of 32-year-old guy with a 7-year deal that's going to just tank you at the end of
Avoid
that deal.
what Jake Gensel got this summer.
Yes.
As I was screaming all through the month of June, don't do it. Yes, avoid the awful contract for a guy that will be really bad and hinder your chances of winning the last half of a contract.
And I think Davidson is smart enough to recognize that. Like people made a big deal about, the Blackhawks got much older this year. And it's just like, yeah, but the oldest guys had 1-year deals.
Yeah, they're not
So
significantly.
yeah, I'm not.
They're not
I
significant
think
players.
I think he's smart about that, and I think he's well aware that when the time comes, the majority of the percentage of the cap is going to be spent on this group of young players that he's building that are going to be in their early 20s. Like, I think that is what he's trying to do. So I have faith that he is going to avoid the, like, let's overpay for a 30-year-old and screw up our cap situation.
Right.
I don't
And
think
it's-
he's going to do that.
And as much as we love Kane and Taves, those last contracts they got, they did a lot more damage than they did good for this team.
Because they were the two superstars.
And
of
yes,
the era
you
not
needed to
get
make
made.
those deals.
You had
To make those deals.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, we shouldn't have signed both of them, but
If you had a GM with
you
polished up crystal balls, he could have said to them, "Look,
you talk them down to $1 million
I know what
less
you're
each.
worth, but each of you taking $1.5 million less, that will all be supplemented with advertisement deals and all the sort of things that can come with it that allows us to keep Teuvo Teravainen or allows us to keep player X and keep the team more competitive. Those
Right.
deals, no movement clauses, $10.5 million cap hits. That's what they're worth on the open market. But the beauty of having a guy that you drafted and your organization that calls the place home and is beloved and has won.
Sidney Crosby's never
Take a
signed
pay
a
cut.
contract for what he's worth on the open market.
100%. See, you could argue Steven Stamkos hasn't done that.
No,
There's a lot of guys you go with, and you look at those teams that were successful when the Hawks were Boston, Pittsburgh, LA. They all had their best players signed for a little bit less than market value to be able to keep one or two guys. And as we learned last year, one or two guys can make a massive difference in the outcome of a team. I mean, it's
right. You
I
can't. Became that, and the Brent Seabrook deal was when it really.
that was
And I love Brent Seabrook as much
we
as
all do.
anybody.
Yep.
One of my favorite players of all time, but that contract was woof. And avoid no movement clauses like it's the plague.
Those are no moving clauses are reserved for
Give limited no movement.
Connor
clause.
Bedard.
Yeah, the full no movements. Yeah, those are for the guys that you're like, it's a no-brainer that you lock into your franchise. Yeah, you can give a 16 team list or a 10 team list. Like, you can give those to the more, mid-tier guys. You don't need to give full no moves to everybody.
Don't need it.
All right, let's go back to the diehards in our Discord, Chill Dog 21, who I believe has a Gonzaga Bulldog logo going on there. Okay, I put this on the board last week and would just love to know if there are any comps for a player like Lukas Reichel, having a short breakout in his first time in the league, followed by an awful season. What is the best we might expect from him, and has any player turned it around in a situation like this the following year?
Well, Mario and I spent some time researching this, and it was a really tough way to sign. I'd really have to spend more time to find a guy that only played like a handful of games, then was really bad in his first full season. But there are some examples of guys that were really good at their first full rookie season and then really struggled their second and then turned it around. I mean, you got a current guy. We don't know how he turned it down, but you could look at Kent Johnson in Columbus.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
16 goals, 40 points in his rookie season. And then last year, only 6 goals, 16 points, and only played 42 games. He was in the AHL. Mm-hmm. He was being healthy scratched. People thought they were going to trade him. So see how he bounces back. Historically, you look at a guy like Jerome McGinley, won the Calder with 21 goals, 50 points his rookie season. Second season, he only had 13 goals, 32 points. But things worked out pretty well for him.
He turned out all right.
Jordan Stahl, his rookie season was fantastic, 29 goals. The next season, just 12 goals, 28 points. And that was on a very talented 07-08 Penguins team that made the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
Jordan Stahl's went on to have a pretty good, still in the league career. Never been a superstar, but if Lukas Reichel can have a Jordan Stahl-esque kind of career, that's pretty good.
Take that.
You would take that in a
you would
heartbeat.
definitely take that. I know they're not the same type of player. I know they don't play the same position. I'm just saying if you can have that type of career. So there are plenty of examples of guys who struggle. You have an even better
one that I came to mind was Lawson Krause with the Coyotes, now Utah hockey team. He was a top 15 pick, I think 11th overall, and had a slow start to his NHL career. There was some higher expectations for him, but slowly over time kind of figured things out. He played a full season in the NHL and then was back and forth between the NHL and AHL for about a season and a half after that. But then kind of figured out his place, figured out, his style in the league. And the last 3 years have had 3 20-goal seasons. He's become a piece of that group in Utah now that, he kind of found his spot in the league. So I know it's not exciting to think Lukas Reichel may be a 40-point, 20-goal guy, but I would take that over being a 20-point guy.
Out of the league in 2 years.
Out of the not having a spot in the NHL. So it might take some time with Reichel, and that's fine. I just don't think I don't think there should be expectations for him to completely turn it around and he's going to be putting up 60, 70, 80 points. I don't know. I just don't see that realistically in his trajectory anymore. Because he's just got to figure it out at the NHL level. And he still needs some time to do that. And when he does, maybe he's putting up 40 and 50 points.
And I think the way Kyle Davidson built the roster, takes a lot of pressure off of him. Because last year he came in and you're second-line center, you're anointed, this is your season, go get him, kid. And he never lived up to that. And now I think there's a lot more scoring options where a lot of people look I'm guilty of this too. Looked at Lukas Reichel as you're our second best offensive option after Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
And when Connor Bedard got hurt, this is your time to do it. He obviously wasn't ready for that big of a role. Now, when you add what the Hawks have added, you can put him, there's less pressure. He doesn't have to be the second best offensive option. It'd be great if he somehow figures it out and gets to that point, but he doesn't have to be. Because there are better players around him. Maybe this is the year, if everybody stays healthy, knock on wood, you try that Athanasiou, Reichel, Kurashev line that worked so well that they looked like they were going to in training camp, and then Kurashev got hurt, and then Athanasiou got hurt, and you can never do it. Now that you've got, Bertuzzi and Teravainen and Hallback, maybe that could be your third line this year, and they don't have to be in such pressure-filled situations, and they can maybe go out and play against other teams' third and fourth line and get some points.
That's a big part of it too. Is the quality of competition will be better for them as well.
You don't have to play Reichel against teams' top defensive pairings and top 2 lines. You can play him against bottom 6, and hopefully he bum slays a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
and here's the other thing too. In my thought process with Reichel is, you're taking some pressures off of him of being like, you have to be the second best option, but you're kind of shifting that pressure to, okay, we brought in a lot of NHL guys that are like, we know that they're going to prove themselves to make the NHL roster. So pressure is not on, okay, you have to now be the one behind Bedard. Now your pressure is make this team.
Prove you belong here.
Prove you belong here.
Which is a good thing.
We're pulling it back and baby stepping it forward again. Prove you belong in the NHL. And that's a different type of pressure. And I think maybe for him it was, okay, prove that you can be in the NHL, make the team. He did that. Then they said, all right, you're here, you're in the NHL. And he's just like, all right, I'm in the NHL. Kind of sit back a little bit. Now it's you have to prove that you can be in the NHL, make this team, and knowing that the team has improved and gotten better, now there's competition to stay in the NHL. So
right.
it's a different type of pressure, I think, for a guy like Reichel, where it's not like, I think we're all assuming he's going to make the team and be in the lineup, but I think we're assuming that off of like he should be there.
He's got a lot of
he's got to actually go out and do it now.
Yep, and as you said, the talent nipping at his heels as well.
Yeah,
all these guys. I hope he feels that.
Yeah,
because we'll see. A couple little things real quick. Alan K mentioned Nathan McKinnon, who had 63 points his first year, and then had 38 the next. So that was a big drop. He had to miss some games, but a drop off there. And I saw Lebowski mention what did it cost the Hawks to prevent them from winning cups with Taves and Kane's contracts. Those contracts began
after the 2015
Cup was won. They were signed in the summer of 14. The deals kicked in the summer of 15 after the final Stanley Cup. So they never won a cup while those deals were active.
Yeah.
So
they didn't win a playoff series while their deals were active, unless you count the
play-in series, which no one really should.
I mean, those contracts, part of the reason Artyom Panarin couldn't get re-signed.
Yeah. See, the thing,
I'm not saying but it's a combination of.
I weigh the Seabrook contract as more
that was
of
a
problem than Taves and Kane, because Taves and Kane, in the summer of 2015, you could have arguments that Jonathan Taves was all around maybe the most valuable player to any team. Like, people were talking about that. It wasn't a slam dunk that it was Sidney Crosby. There were conversations about Taves might be the guy in the NHL. So you had to pay him that way. And Patrick Kane was an icon and also in that conversation of like top 5 in the league at that time.
I don't think anyone
you had to give those guys
They deserve it for sure. They absolutely deserve huge contracts. They do. But my quibble with it is you look at the other players that were great at the same time, Crosby among them, always took a little bit less to keep some people around. And Lebowski's asking for like causal, like who left because of those contracts. It's very hard to say that, but you don't know which free agents they couldn't get or whatever to make the team. You couldn't really improve the team.
You had to trade Artyom Panarin because you couldn't give him fair value because you had Taves, Kane, and Seabrook's deal on between all that. You couldn't give him so you had to trade him before he just left for nothing.
Right.
That was why he was traded, because they knew they wouldn't be able to re-sign him because they had too much cap space taken up.
Again, we're not blaming Taves and Kane.
No, those contracts had to be signed, but you could have. I just wonder if those negotiations were like, here's your deals, sign them, or did he at least try and say, hey, can we do 9.5 or maybe one less year? Like, if they could have saved $2 million a season on those deals, who knows what that could have helped them do. But it's all in the past now.
Given $2 million more.
All I'm saying in regards to that is just don't pull a Toronto where you're anchored down by 5 guys. Now let's if you do it, make sure it's 5 guys that actually.
I'm usually anchored down after I ate 5 guys.
Yeah,
a lot of fries.
That'll hold you down.
But don't get, if you're gonna get anchored down by overpaying to keep your core together, make sure it's a core that can win in the playoffs.
Yeah, as the Hawks one was, as we know.
Gentlemen, we're about an hour into the show. Do you want to keep rolling here?
Want to do one more?
Sure, let's go
How
one
many-
more here.
how many more do we
we
have
have
from
two more
the,
from the
Discord?
diehards, and one of them is more of a fun.
All right, let's do those two, and we'll call it a
try
day.
and get
All right,
those two.
giddy up.
We'll
Here
do-
we go.
We'll do Twitter Tuesday.
All right, so this next one comes from Darth Kane.
Ooh,
fun.
scary.
Which is the better defensive foursome? Keith, Seabrook, Hjalmarsson, Oduya, or Chelios, Suter, Carney, Weinrich?
A.
Yeah, yeah, I would go with that group, but also you probably still win 3 Stanley Cups with those second 4 guys on those teams.
Perhaps.
You at least win 1 or 2.
Eric Weinrich is undervalued
I know.
for
Loved
his
him.
time here.
Number
He was a good
2.
player. My thing, though, is when I look at those 4, each name on the Group A is better than each name in Group B. Keith is better than Chelios. Can I see it again? Keith is better than Chelios. Seabrook's better than Suter. Hjalmarsson's better than Carney, and Oduya.
Yeah.
Oduya and Weinrich, you could argue.
Yeah,
I would have to say Team A.
yeah, I would say Team A, but I still think the Hawks win Stanley Cups with those 4 guys
think
in
so.
their prime and on those teams.
Playing on those teams. Oh, yeah, sure.
And I don't know if you add those 4 guys, Group A, to the 90s teams, does that change their results a whole lot?
I would love to watch Duncan Keith play in the 90s.
Yeah.
The problem with those 90s
Yeah.
teams is they had great defensemen and they had a great goalie, and they still couldn't get over the
just-
hump because they didn't have
They
that.
refused to bring in any scoring
They
depth.
didn't have the scoring. So you probably still win Stanley Cups with those 4. Group B. Do you win any with Group A? I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's a good thought experiment.
To the DeLorean.
Yeah, say something to do in NHL Hut. Put those players
Done it.
together.
It's fun.
Try it.
They got to get Duncan Keith back in that game.
All right, let's close out the Discord version of the mailbag with this from AJ. Does Inside Out 2 count as a hockey movie? I swear, this movie did a better job of marketing the sport to the mainstream than anything the NHL has done in decades.
That's not shocking.
I've
Yes, hockey movie.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot.
I
about
haven't
that.
seen it, but
Haven't
sure.
seen it yet.
It's 30% hockey or hockey adjacent.
Well, good. Then I hope it does bring in more eyeballs to the
Well, and you
NHL.
said this because you saw it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you said the story focuses on
A
Riley,
girl
the main
graduating
character.
from middle school to high school, going to the high school camp
Yeah,
between
For
the 2
hockey.
years.
Yeah.
And that's where all the tension and stuff comes from.
sure. Yeah, I would think that would make it a hockey
Well,
movie.
I'll let you know in 15 years when I see it because I'm really up on things. This past weekend, I just watched the new Jurassic World first 2 movies
Oh,
for the
nice.
first time,
Hmm.
and the first of the new Planet of the Apes. So I'm a little bit behind on my.
What are your thoughts as Greg Bragg's movie critic?
Off to a decent start.
Okay.
Like, I like the fact that like these movies obviously knew they had 3 or 4 movies to tell the whole story, and this was a very good setup of a long story.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to watch the second too.
For those that don't know, Greg Braggs
Yes.
talks about the Planet of the Apes movies as if they are the Godfather
And
1
the,
and 2.
the Jurassic
As
World
if
movies.
they were Caleb Williams.
Right?
The
Yeah.
Jurassic World movies.
Really?
Bunch of crap. Terrible.
Yeah, I didn't.
Terrible. There's a reason we didn't watch the third one yet because the first one was okay. Second one was bad. Just bad.
Can't
no
say
story.
I've seen either of those
Don't.
movie series.
Don't. The only Jurassic Park movie worth watching is the original. After that, it's all bad.
You know what I did
That
this
one I've
weekend
seen.
for the 100th time? Watch Tombstone.
It's a great movie.
Nice.
God, I love that movie.
That's like a Shawshank movie for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on. I'm watching. From wherever it's at,
Yep. I agree.
I'm in.
That's a good
I mean,
one.
like everyone's in that movie.
I know.
Such a great cast.
I think it's dawned on me that Kurt Russell might be my favorite actor.
Really?
He's in a lot of stuff I like a lot.
Overboard.
Overboard's a good movie.
It's a great film.
Big Trouble in Little
That's
China.
usually the
I
first
just
one
like
I
him.
think of.
Yeah.
He's the same guy in every movie, but I like that guy.
Kurt Russell's
Romance in the
fantastic.
Turn your
Oh, no,
head
that's
into a
not-
canoe.
That's Douglas. Yeah, that's not Kurt Russell.
Yes. Overboard is a great one. I'm sorry, that movie's hilarious.
That's where him and Goldie Hawn met, right? I believe.
Maybe I think it was before that.
No. Yeah, you're right.
Was it Private Benjamin?
The story of them
Benjamin
meeting, I heard him. He told it to Conan O'Brien.
Yeah,
it
I was
was
gonna
like,
say,
we met,
I
and then we
just heard
went
that,
to a
yeah.
hotel, and the rest is history.
Tango and Cash is an underrated good one. Big Trouble in Little China though is my favorite.
Yeah, that
Kurt
one's
Russell
great. I have
movie
not.
of all
It's
time.
been way too long since I've seen
so
that.
good.
But-
That is like There's no doubt what decade that movie was made in. It is like perfect 80s cheese movie. It's fantastic.
Yes, cheese. All right,
80s cheese.
We're gonna be back tomorrow. I like you called it Twitter Tuesday. Beautiful. That's a way to brand it.
Couple first met while filming The One and Only.
Okay.
In 1967.
I thought you were about to say that.
Because Goldie Hawn identifies, even to this day, she identifies as a dancer. That's what she calls her. She calls herself a dancer that acts.
All right, and it was her on
became
Conan O'Brien.
They both were.
And after
within the last
reconnecting
like
on the
4 or
set
5 months
of Swing Shift.
All right.
There you go.
Still together. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There was like a Santa Claus movie on Netflix where Kurt Russell was Santa.
Yes.
And Goldie Hawn was Mrs. Claus.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed that movie.
There's like 3 of those now. They made sequels.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I've only seen the first one.
Well,
all right.
Put them on your list, Greg.
All right.
I'll get it with a kid. It's a little more.
I don't have any of those.
I'll find one.
I don't want any.
They're around.
I don't. No, I'm not. No.
Just open the doors in your window.
I'm a big enough kid. I'm a big enough kid in my house. I could still watch kid movies.
All right. We're back tomorrow with Twitter Tuesday. Lots of good stuff coming up. Remember, jump on. We only have a few slots left in the golf outing. So if you've been waiting, do it soon.
Do it now.
ALLCHGO.com. Become a diehard. Save 20% on the event. You can also buy a foursome. You could sponsor a hole. Tons of ways to help us out at the Cookout Classic. But just come out and golf with us. It's going to be an awesome time. We'd love to see you.
Eat a hot dog with us.
Even if you're bad at golf,
I suck at
It's a
golf.
nice day
terrible.
outside. You get to have some hot dogs and some beverages of your choice.
Man.
It's a good time.
It's great. Do it. Come on out. We'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Make sure you hit that like button for us on your way out. Make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you tomorrow at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.